crap. Good afternoon. I'd like to welcome you today to What's in Tegan's Storage Locker. It's the show that dares to ask the question, just what is in my storage locker? The answer today, as every day, is comic books. I have piles and piles of unsorted comics. I grab a fistful out of the boxes, more or less at random. Stuff I think might be interesting to talk about, or at least flip through. And, I do it online and we call it a show. We have a we have a little cannonball on legs who likes to disrupt things. He's been disrupting things for a good 45 minutes. I've been trying to wear him down so I can actually start recording. Sure, he'll come and make his presence known at some point. Let's kick it off and see if we can, make some progress here. On top of the pile today, we have X-Men 2099, number 1. This was, an expansion of the 2099 line, which was pretty popular. When was this? This was October 93. So the 2099 books had already been out for a good year by this time. And this was, I want to say, their first ongoing, expansion. I was excited about this book because I was really deep into the 2099 books. The first couple years of the line was pretty great. Even the books that people don't remember as being great were still interesting at the very least. And not only was this the long-awaited X-Men book, but it had Ron Lim on art. Had Ron Lim on art with Adam Kubert inking, who was a significant draw in and of himself. So it was exciting times. What can I say? All of the 2099 first issues, at least the early ones, a few towards the end, broke from the pattern, but most of them had this high-tech border thing that was surrounding the picture of the main guys. That was the cover gimmick for the first lineup of books. I don't remember I read this book. I loved this book, actually. I don't remember any of these people's names. I remember that they very consciously made a point of not just copying previous characters. There wasn't a Wolverine 2099. There wasn't a Cyclops 2099. There were new characters who filled, new roles. And, that had some benefits and some drawback. That had some benefits and drawbacks. Because on the one hand, the book was very much its own thing, telling its own type of stories. But on the other, when the book went away and the characters went away, they didn't really have any connection to the present day iterations that would allow them to be used easily. So these guys have never really... I think they've appeared in a couple of the 2099 events, but they certainly were never as popular as the Spider-Man 2099, certainly, or even Doom 2099 or the Punisher 2099. All of them seem to, have their fans. And, I'll argue for Ravage even. Oh, wow. Nightmare Before Christmas. That was 93, I guess. Yeah, I still remember seeing that one in the theater. Oh, hello. No, don't you dare. Don't you dare. Why don't you just go take a nice nap? We spent so much time with you running around, chasing after the laser pointer. You could just curl up in your bed and have a nice nap. This one takes place the book takes place in the American Southwest, largely, the Nevada desert. Oh, come on now. Don't you start that. He is just bound and determined to keep me from recording tonight. Every time I get the recording rig set up, and not much for a rig, but every time I get this table set up to record, it's like I'm winding a watch on him, and he just, turn the spring and watch him go. So there's some sort of, gathering place, a secret underground rave in the Nevada desert. This was written by John Francis Moore, Ron Lim, Adam Kubert. John Francis Moore ended up having a run on X-Force. Wrote a few things for the X Office, if I recall correctly. So he goes into the rave and he meets these other characters. This woman with the snake arms. This guy, what's his name? His name's Eddie, but he adopts the properties of any metal he touches. So he's kind of like a very limited absorbing man. He used to wear these, I'm remembering he wore these metal bands that allowed him to absorb whatever metal he needed for, battle, I guess. Oh, here we go. The Spider-Man and X-Men Arcade's Revenge game. That game stymied me. Oh, it stymied me. And they had another one for the Genesis that I never played because I never played the Genesis. But this Spider-Man and X-Men game, you could not get past the first levels. Yeah, I never did. I played the game over and over again. I never got past any of these characters' first levels because they had, first levels for each of the characters. I mean, that should tell you. I just wasn't that good at video games despite actually giving them the old college try, so to speak. Everyone did. That's what you had to do in the 90s. What are you doing? What are you doing? Bart's Nightmare. Yeah, it looks fun, but it's another Genesis game. And this was the guy who brought the team together in the future, this Shan fellow. Xian, so that's where the X comes from. And they hung around, like Nevada, Arizona. That was their stomping ground. Let's see. What anything fun we can pick up here? Let's see. You could still buy a copy of trying to find something. The first issue of Sword of Azrael was going for $15 still. That should situate it in time for you. You can get a copy of Cerebus 1 for 75 cents. Probably not the first printing of that. And there's some sort of, is it a battle? Are they battling to... Oh, they're doing some sort of criminal justice lottery? Everything was messed up in 2099. It's because the corporations were in charge. They had a very, very, very strong anti-corporate attitude. You can't say the books weren't about something. They were definitely about something. They had a definite perspective. I think... I'm trying to remember. I don't think I got to go to Pizza Hut during this period. There wasn't a Pizza Hut near me in 93. So I don't know. I don't know if they ever printed those books anywhere else, although written by Scott Lobdell with art by Andrew Wildman, Stephen Baskerville, John Hebert, Bill Anderson, Jim Craig, Dan and David Day, Mike Harris, and Harry Candelario. Well, that's pretty much people who were hanging around the Special Projects office at Marvel at the time. Although this is a nice Madureira Hannah piece before Madureira took over the main book, mind you. They already had him in mind for X-Men. Nice looking piece for a Pizza Hut ad. There's a spread with previews of all the other 2099 books. I guess they were figuring that they might get a few X fans picking up the X-Men book. Yeah, probably not a bad assumption. So you get 2 pages of Spider-Man 2099 fighting the Vulture 2099. Hello. Oh, don't go behind there. He goes behind the thing is, he goes behind the computer and he just starts scraping at it. And that's where that metallic scraping sound comes from, because he knows I will drop everything to stop him from doing that. If you want to just have a seat and enjoy yourself, that's fine. But you insist on being a wrecking ball. A wrecking ball. So, Spider-Man 2099, that was Peter David with Rick Leonardi and Al Williamson. Fantastic, A-plus team. This was, without a doubt, the best book of at least the original launch. Ravage, this is actually from the issue of Ravage we looked at the other day. It had already had its big, switch over from Stan's launch book through this, the modern Beast Man incarnation. Pat Mills and Tony Skinner. And here's from Doom 2099, also written by John Francis Moore, Pat Broderick, Bronze Age Stable, John Nyberg on inks. People don't remember this iteration of the book quite as well as they remember the Warren Ellis one that became so influential. I like the Warren Ellis one, but don't want to forget the first run was also a very good comic book. Nice center spread pinup here of the team, full team in all its glory. And here's, I want to say this is a preview of the second issue of the book, because none of this has happened yet, and this is the credits for this. And here's a couple pages from the Punisher 2099, Ultraviolence at its finest. And the Hulk 2099 from the 2099 Unlimited. This was perhaps the first sign that the line was feeling a little the strain of the expansion that followed Success, because I never really warmed to the Hulk 2099. They eventually killed him, and not a tear was shed. He was just like the Hulk, only with 4 fingers. That was the big change. Now this, I should have ordered this, the behind-the-scenes sketchbook. Collect the special coupons. Oh, well, it was collecting coupons. That might be. Where was the coupon? Was it in the back of the book? I don't know where the coupon is. Maybe it was just a proof of purchase. I don't know. So, these are them doing their powers, outwitting dudes in suits. This guy, who I think was the dangerous wild card of the team, tell Shan I will not become another of his disciples. You owe us. I owe you nothing. Don't really. Sort of looks like one of the Matrix sequels here. You have the same group of, outcasts fighting the future. There's our boy Rune. Oh, sexy Quark saying hello. The second wave of Ultraverse books. Firearm was an excellent book. Have to dig up some Firearm. And we'll come back to the bullpens, bulletins. And there's an assassin after Shan, and so that's what they're doing. They have to get him to the hospital, and that's what they're doing on those preview pages. Yep, and they drove around in this van called the Experience. Knew you'd join my X-Men. X-Men? So that's it. See, it's a pretty decent superhero book for the time. It it introduced a number of likable characters. It put a number of balls in the air. It wasn't afraid to put these characters through the ringer, which is no small thing. A lot of books, are afraid to ding their characters, but you gotta be a little bit rough and tumble, or people aren't going to care for them. That was something from way back in Claremont's day. He put those X-Men through hell, at least through his entire run of the book. Basically, they're on the back feet one way or the other, and that's how you make people care about characters. You make them struggle, give them adversity. Oh, look at the length of that subscription ad. And wow, Zit Fighters from Outer Space. I want to say that looks like it could have been a Continuity Studios. They did a bunch of ads for Marvel. They did a series of Three Musketeers ads that ran like a year or two before this. The NFL's best team up with Pinnacle. Man, they had a lot of people doing sports cards. I guess the bottom had fallen out of sports cards by '93 is the thing. But there's always sports cards. Someone's always going to be out there making them, I guess. All right, so what's next in the pile here? What's next in the pile? Oh, here's something interesting. How about some Aquaman? Not just any Aquaman. Aquaman from September 1989, part of a 5-issue Aquaman series by a star-studded creative team. Keith Giffen, Robert Loren Fleming writing it. Keith Giffen doing plot and layouts for Curt Swan with Al Vey on inks. So that right there, those are the ingredients of an excellent looking comic book. Curt Swan could still draw a very nice looking comic book up until, the very end of, when he was working at DC. Konami handheld games. Something rather, this is why maybe I never been that into Aquaman. Most I could get into him was when Peter David was writing him, which, what are you doing? Someone is jumping around. I only picked up, I don't have the rest of this series. I only picked this up because it was in a Random Comics bag grab. The kind you used to get at the drugstore, actually. But this is a very, very nice looking book. Giffen giving Swan layouts makes for a very interesting matchup because you get Giffen's excellent dynamic storytelling sense, but he's tailoring it specifically for Swan's strength. So you get, character work, people's faces. Oh, beautiful. Who's coloring this? Tom McCraw. That Hide game, Hide the D. John Elway. That guy looks like he's having fun. The situation is abysmal, I'm sorry to say. You get nothing but pulse-pounding fun with Aquaman. Aquaman, the thing with Aquaman is that as goofy as his reputation, his stories can be really heavy. And that goes back to the 60s when they decided to kill the kid. And, that I think sort of, that's the kind of thing the character never really recovered from, because that's always going to be there in his past. Aquaman is unusual for being a married superhero. Being married is sort of part of the package with him, and having a family, and that's not normal for superheroes. So he's sort of got that interesting bit going for him. But that also means that the drama that follows married people who losing a child, my goodness. It's heavy stuff for a comic book. It just is. And here, Mira's dead somehow, so he's looking over her coffin. Oh, it's a beautiful page, though. Look at that. I'll never forget you, darling. Whatever our differences, you were always in my heart. I know that you and your colleagues did all that you could for her. Oh, remote control, NES controller. That would have been fun to have. Sure, it didn't work as well as the ads would make you believe. Oh, goodness. Turns out she's not dead. If your dead wife springs out of the coffin screaming hypocrite, you're in trouble. You're going to be sleeping on the couch for a while, Bubba. But you're dead. I saw you impaled. I'm not from this world. I'm not even from this plane of existence. Haven't you ever wondered about our differences, the differences in our physiologies? Well, I mean, you did have a kid. Oh, if I had a child with one of my own, it would have lived. Your weak genes killed my baby. Oh, man. Heavy stuff. Heavy stuff. Give this comic to a kid and watch Aquaman become their favorite. It can't end like this. Man, look at that. Look at this. I mean, it's heavy. Don't get me wrong, but man, this is a nice looking page of Aquaman just losing it. All the people I've saved, why not him? Why not him? Oh, those guys are creepy. Are they aliens? Maybe they're from another dimension here. Bionic Commando. I probably would have enjoyed it. I like the Capcom side scrollers. Mr. Bubble. Looks like that was DD, Dan DiCarlo, doing that one. Idiots. I'm surrounded by idiots. Arthur's having fun today. You know, it's interesting. It reads like something from 15 years later. It's a little bit decompressed in terms of you have all these panels with lots of negative space, wide open compositions, and not that much dialogue. You know, for 1989, this whole page could have been covered in words, and yet, you know, they're really kind of going out of their way to give Curt Swan a lot of time to shine, or a lot of space to shine here. You initiated all of this, and now all you can do is wallow in self-pity. Well, we'll go down as warriors with dignity. Man, no one... Aquaman is having a bad day. Everyone is yelling at him. He's right. I've been no use at all in the past month. New quick shot joysticks. People were really wanted to bring the joysticks into the NES era, and they just never really stuck. Do kids today even know what a joystick is? I'm being dead serious here. I got him into this and I'll get him out. All it'll take is one brilliant idea. Well, let's see if you can bring up one brilliant idea. So he sits and thinks a minute with the, oh man, that's a nice page. And all around the city-state of Atlantis, the tide begins to turn. Oh, they're giving a discount on the Justice League books. Take $1 from each Justice League subscription, deduct 50 cents from the listed price of every other description. They were still holding the Action Comics and the Superman books at 75-cent cover price. They held out on those for a pretty long time after the rest of the, the rest of the line was already up to $1 by now, of the newsprint comics. And an ad for the Mud Pack, which was the big promotion with the Clayface characters, who always had very depressing backs. Speaking of depressing, Aquaman and Clayfaces. A great month for uplifting stories at DC. And a TSR ad. 3 great places that aren't on the map. Oh man, too much to choose from. Oh goodness, okay. Okay, here's something that looks fun. Spawn the Impaler. This was an odd book. I in hindsight do not really remember what the point of this book was, because it was just a really weird book. Mike Grell wrote it with art by this Rob, looks like a B, Rob Breyer. Horror Stalks the Night, horror born of love that wouldn't die. I think Mike Grell just came in after his Shaman's Tears book, and Todd let him do his own Spawn book. And so Mike Grell got this Rob, is that a B? Breyer. And he did this book that was half Mike Grell, looks like Mike Grell pencil work, and half airbrush. And the airbrush, I'm not going to say whether or not it's a successful effect. It certainly looked, it was interesting. I'll say that. So it was, the rare Spawn book that didn't really, feel like a Spawn book. It definitely felt like something else. But it was not without its charm, because it was all about some sort of, centuries-long romance featuring, one of the past Spawn characters. I think it was supposed to be something to do with Vlad Tepes. I don't, because the Impaler, I don't know. That is a nice spread. That is a nice spread of Mike Grell. Yeah, story and pencils, Mike Grell, artist Rob Breyer. So I guess he was doing layouts for the whole book, but some of the spreads were just his pencils, and then this Breyer guy come over with go over it with the airbrush. I'm having dinner with Vlad. Don't wake up. Oh, that'll turn out well. See, it's an interesting looking book. If you want a comic book that looks like the side of a van. I mean, that's interesting looking. At the very least, you can say it doesn't really look like anything else that was on the stands at the time, I don't think. So yeah, Spawn with a little touch of, the vampire mythos, I guess, because the Impaler. Although that guy looks a bit like Michael Lindell. I see that mustache, and there aren't that many people walking around with that mustache in this day and age. Oh, and here we are back to some of Grell's pencil work. Oh, man. Impossible, I sent you to hell. Not even hell could hold me from the side of my princess. Oh, well, there you go. That's classic Spawn right there. Comes back from the dead for love. Never reads the fine print. That's if anyone ever read the fine print, no one would ever want to have anything to do with Malebolgia. Oh, but I see. So he comes back from this isn't a nice hook. He comes back from the dead, from hell, to save her, but then she sees him as a demon, and she gets she jumps off a parapet to get away from him. So that pretty much sounds like something that's going to happen in a Spawn book. Sleep is the realm of the dark. Nightmare is the scream of dreams. Okay, I'm kind of getting it. I'm kind of digging it. It's got a definite vibe to it. It's different. It's interesting. Considering, a lot of the Spawn, most Spawn, tended to, Todd kept a pretty, tight thumb on what Spawn books look like and could do. And this looks different. So, okay. So in the year 1462, Prince Vlad III, son of Vlad Dracul, led a tiny army against the Turkish hordes. His enemies and followers alike feared the cruelty of the man who would come to be known as Vlad Tepes, the Impaler. Okay, so in this universe, Vlad Tepes is a Spawn. Oh, hello. You came to look at Spawn. You were interested in seeing what was going on here. Grizzly fun. Good for the whole family. Uh-oh. How can you be so cruel? I've had a lot of practice. Rips his face off. Classic Spawn imagery there. Meatball face. More, yeah, see, this is the best part of the book. Seeing Grell's pencil work here. Pencil on, looks like gray paper. Oh, hello. See, this is interesting. I'm not gonna say it's good, but it's interesting. It's at least trying something fun. Fools, you lock me in darkness, you may as well try to seal me in my mother's womb. Already my power returns. Oh, so they impale him. Now that's, you come all the way back from hell for love, and then you end up getting stuffed in a coffin and impaled by some schmucks. The Spawns always they have a hard time of it. They're never that bright, and that's why they sign on the dotted line with the devil. That's a nice page. That's fun. That's interesting. If I see the other, I think I have the whole run of it, because I was still on board with all the Spawn at this time, and I think I bought this just because it's kind of out there, even for a Spawn book. This was a little bit out there. Fun though, fun. Yeah, like I say, if I see the others in the box, I might just pull those out. All right, what do we got? All right. Well, how about... Here's one. How about Weapon X #1? Not the Weapon X from Barry Windsor Smith. This is the Weapon X from the Age of Apocalypse. Speaking of Mr. Adam Kubert, since we just mentioned him, he inked the X-Men 2099 #1. Adam Kubert was the big name for Wolverine at this period during Hama's run, and they were a good match. They made some nice looking comic books together. Age of Apocalypse, of course, was the seminal 1995 crossover that people are still talking about. People still love it. We're actually coming up on the 30th anniversary in a year or so, so I'm sure they'll do something big for that. People loved this story. I loved this story. My mother loved this story. It was beloved. It was in a lot of ways a ruinous success because they could never quite recapture that lightning in a bottle they got. And in hindsight, no one would have thought this would work, and yet it worked really well. Everyone loved it. The gist is, if you're not familiar, in the present day, Professor Xavier's crazy son goes back in time to try and assassinate Magneto before anyone formed, before they formed the X-Men, when Magneto and Xavier were still friends. So he goes back in time and he ends up killing Xavier. And what that does is, a chain of events, it kicks a chain of events into motion that end with Apocalypse conquering the world, or conquering North America, basically turning the United States, all of North America, into how do you put it? He basically just kills a lot of people. Mountains of skulls. You see mountains of skulls from Apocalypse turning North America into basically an open-air concentration camp. Real heavy dystopia. The X-Men are freedom fighters in this world. In this world, Wolverine and Jean Grey are not part of the X-Men. They don't trust the X-Men for, I don't remember what reason at this late date. It's been a long time since I read the story. But they were sort of independent operators out on their own. Demon Knight, I don't remember that one. I know I saw it. I don't remember that one. I remember Bordello of Blood. That was, but I don't remember Demon Knight. Oh, nice double-page spread here. Really nice. Larry Hama script, Adam Kubert breakdowns, Carl Kiesel, Dan Green, Chris Warner finishes. So Wolverine and Jean Grey are, they're an item in this world, and they're doing something or other with breaking into writing a Sentinel to do something or other. I don't know what they're doing. Gargoyles, the movie. Oh, people love the Gargoyles. I haven't seen a single episode of the Gargoyles. They weren't on any of the channels I was watching at the time. That's what it boils down to. So, I missed out on that bit of 90s nostalgia. He lost his hand doing something. I don't remember how he lost his hand. Oh, it was Cyclops. That's right. It was Cyclops. Ooh, are you hungry for adventure? Look for free Spider-Man mini comic books on specially marked jars of Peter Pan peanut butter. So you see, this is more or less what was state of the art at the time. There's a very nice looking comic book. A lot of exposition here to sort of still setting up the alternate universe. They're being hunted. Oh, they're being hunted by Havoc because Havoc and Cyclops were Apocalypse. Well, actually, no, I think they worked for Sinister, and Sinister worked for Apocalypse, if I'm recalling correctly. They were the regime's enforcers, so to speak. I believe they were in charge of the slave pens. That was what we were dealing with in the Age of Apocalypse. Die in a slave pen. That was the most likely outcome for most people, if you were lucky. Yeah, that's a nice page right there. Hama knew, he adapted to the 90s. He knew how to write what the kids were asking for, which was these real, action-heavy books with just a lot of room for the artist to fly. Just, get out of the way, let the artist do fun stuff. They could not have known that they would have tangents with the advertising page, but there you go. Writing more Sentinels. I remember I bought those. They tasted just like the fruit snacks that you would get if you bought a pack of fruit snacks at the Walmart today. Oh, that's a nice page. Nice colors. Taking advantage of these shiny pages to go a bit garish. Who's doing the colors? Was that Mike Thomas? Mike Thomas. Just the last, split second before everything was colorized with computers. Colored with computers. Another Spider-Man game that I don't remember playing. Already we were getting to the point where they were just too much for you to keep up with if you really loved this stuff. Is that a bone saw, Dr. McCoy? Cyclops, he lost an eye to Wolverine, and Wolverine lost a hand to him, so they did not like each other. As well it should be. Them as friends is unnatural. Crash the Sentinel into Big Ben. All the human resistance people are in London. Emma Frost. Moira McTaggart. Paul Trask is one of the good guys. I remember that. See, Emma Frost just was kind of a bit player back in '95. If they redid the story, that would not be the case. That is a fun Punisher ad right there. Again, I don't remember ever playing a Punisher side scroller. I had one Punisher game for the Game Boy that was a shoot 'em up target game, POV from the Punisher, not a side scroller. That is just like a absolutely nutso picture of the Punisher. Ooh, still a long subscription ad right there. A lot of these books weren't long. In '95, a lot of these books weren't long for this world. Oh, Evil Magma. Oh, there you go. See, stakes were high. So all of them had these maps, so you could see, Apocalypse took over North America. They dropped a nuke on South America. Dropped a nuke in the Middle East. See, everything was pretty much messed up by, nothing good happened when Apocalypse took over. Region patrolled by Sentinel assault troops. Wondagore Mountain destroyed. They're introducing the stakes of the story here, which is that pretty much everything in the Age of Apocalypse is racing the deadline of basically the remaining humans have decided that they can't deal with the situation, and they're going to nuke North America into oblivion, which is going to have knock-on events for the whole world. But up against Apocalypse. They probably don't have that much of a choice there. So all of the stories are racing against that that deadline. And that was one of the reasons the story was so good, because they had a ticking clock on all of it. Everyone knew it was only going to be a temporary state of affairs, and people could die. Anything and everything was on the table for the Age of Apocalypse, and people loved it. People ate it up. I did. I certainly know I did. There's that X-Men Captain Universe with the Hildebrandt art on the poster and trading card and comic book cover. Clearasil ad. NBA Jam. I never played any of the sports games. You can probably guess that. How are we doing on time here? Oh, we still got time. What's next? How about, this is fun. Issue of Young Justice from 99. Now, I think this is towards the, I don't think I bought past like the first year of this book. And there was no flies on the book itself. It was basically everything you'd want from a Peter David, Todd Nauck production. Very readable. People really liked these characters together. This wasn't the Teen Titans. The Teen Titans at the time were in one of their, the Teen Titans is one set of characters. And every time they really tried to add to that, to change it up. I think a couple of these guys later joined the Titans in the 2000s, but they still joined the team that was still primarily composed of the Wolfman and Perez characters, which people have seen time and time again is pretty much the only version of the Titans that the market will bear. And like right now, as I speak, there's a successful new book, New Titans relaunch with, the team straight out of, the TV show. So, those are the characters that people like for the Titans. So this book had kind of an open runway, so to speak, because it was free to do its own thing. And so it had a little bit of a lighter feel. These characters got along well together. They were friends. And that was something that definitely gave the book a strong identity, which was that it was based in the camaraderie of these three characters who were very dissimilar, but that made for really good interaction. So what are they fighting here? I think these are some sort of kids entertainment character like the Teletubbies, only with a police theme. I'm guessing from that. And they're doing something or other, brainwashing children. That's, I think, what it is. An ad for the mini disc player. Now, unless you were alive at the time, there's a good chance you've never even heard of a mini disc. A mini disc, they tried to push them because in many ways it was a superior format to the compact disc. No question about it. It was recordable. It was less fragile. It was adopted by sound engineers. It was adopted by recording professionals. It was not adopted by regular people. Sort of like the Betamax of music production from the turn of the century. The Betamax was by a lot of measurements superior to VHS, but VHS won the day, and so too with the mini disc and the compact disc. People just didn't want to switch formats, so the format never really took off, except for, like I say, recording professionals who adopted it and kept it alive for a lot longer, certainly as a professional format than as a commercial format. One of the things I was really happy to see when I came back from my recent, couple of years sabbatical from really being engaged with comics was Todd Nauck's resurgence. It wasn't a bad surprise at all because I always liked his work, all the way back to the late '90s when he first broke out. And I was happy to see that he's still a very good artist, and I was glad that he was having some extended success. He was, one of the vanguard of mid to late '90s people who was coming in with a lot of manga and anime, although at the time they would have probably been just as likely to say a video game influence because that was the vector it was coming into the culture from. But, put him alongside Jeff Matsuda, certainly Joe Madureira, and Ron Lim, an very early adopter of that whole style coming into the American mainstream. There's the Wonder Girl character, at least the version of her that came from the John Byrne Wonder Woman run, and I really liked this iteration of the Cassie Sandsmark character when she was still drawn and written as a young teenager, not an older teenager, but a younger teenager, with all that implied. And all these characters were, these were like 14, 15, 16-year-olds, not older teenagers. So that's why the book had a slightly lighter tone to it. Drink Slurm, the favorite beverage of contented wormulans. Bongo did a Futurama book a little bit after the show premiered, if I recall correctly. Tim Drake hanging out with his dad. Let's see here. Oh, and yeah, you can get a taste of their interaction together. They're sitting there playing chess, and Superboy thinks he's doing pretty good, but there's no way he can beat someone who can look at the 1,000 different alternate moves in the time it takes to blink. And Cassie's stuck babysitting. So she turns on the mind control, Teletubbies video. Because they always got to be throwing shade at whatever small children are watching. Man, coming up in the 90s, every comic book turned Barney into a villain of some kind. And so these are your Teletubbies knockoffs. And the kids are going nuts. They're trying to murder people with knives. Good, clean fun for the whole family. Oh, boy. New Fox series, history in the making, folks. This was 24 years ago. No one knew who the heck Family Guy was. And no one knew who Family Guy was for a while after the show came out because it was canceled. And then they brought it back. They brought it back because of the reruns on Adult Swim, which that's how I watched the first run of the series. I didn't catch most of the first run of the series on TV, not until they put it on, cable on Cartoon Network. And the rest is history. Oh boy, and then of course, the mother comes home just in time to see Arrowhead about to stab her kid. And then there's this other character who I don't think she was a counterpart for any of the older heroes, but I think she was the Secret. Was that her name? She was a gaseous character. So she's pulling them out of the fire here. When they're about to be arrested for attempted murder of 2 small children. And it's Young Justice to the rescue. They drove around in this Supermobile. I think this is the Supermobile from the Forever People series, actually. There's an ad for Green Lantern month they were having with all sorts of Green Lantern promotions. And they had a graphic novel. They were putting out a Golden Age Green Lantern Archives. Hugga Tugga Thuggies, have a nice day. Yeah, so that's their Teletubbies ripoff. And, so he sees something, maybe because he's still a little kid at heart. He sees what the brainwashing is. It's like some sort of evil mind control. Folks, we're going to Calcutta. Oh, Calcutta. In case you forgot, this was a Peter David comic book. There's your musical theater reference for you. We were wondering if you knew anything about a weird thuggy cult. Oh, so he just starts, yes, I do. They've created a child-friendly image in the form of the Hugga Tugga Thuggies and made them an international phenomenon, but secretly, certain of the tapes contain sourcelessly subliminal images, visible only to the very simple and pure of mind. We'll be using these images as part of a master plan to corrupt innocent minds, and in turn bring Callie back into our spheres so that she will rule the world. Well, see, there's another Peter David touch. The villain just sort of gives away the whole plan and in a single, in a single word balloon. But they're about to be attacked in the villain's lair, killed with a bunch of, liquid metal. Ooh, get a Coke, get a code, get hooked up. The Coca-Cola card is back and better than ever. Use it to set up your Coca-Cola voicemail box for free. Man, people were hard up at the turn of the century. I don't remember this. I don't remember this Batman Book of the Dead with Doug Mensch and Barry Kitson. Looks like it must have been fun, but I don't remember it at all. The conspiracies are revealed this April. If I see that, I might check that out. And I like Barry Kitson. I bought just about everything I saw of Barry Kitson. I just must have never seen that one. Like I say, I was looking for reasons to buy fewer books at the time. Oh, so you've got a Cult of Callie, so of course there's that escalated quickly. So they have to fight the goddess Callie here. And we got our 2-page letters column. Any of these names I recognize. Already an AOL.com email address. Jason Todd. Yes, that's my real name, okay? Gotten quite adept at anticipating that question. So that's fun right there. I can maybe see why at the time I was starting to edge out of a lot of the regular DC books I was buying, but still, very readable comic books. So we made it. And you know who he's chilling on the back of my chair as we speak right now, actually. We laughed, we learned, we loved. Stick around, check out the rest of the videos on the channel. We got a whole pile of them by now. I'm stocking up. Check out, I got daily comic book reviews on my TikTok and Instagrams. I post them every day. I just started a new weekly feature where we'll be reading all of 1993's Bloodline annuals. Tune in every Wednesday for that. It's going to take like 26 weeks, I think, all total, but we're going to do it. Half a year, we've committed, so that should be fun. I have a newsletter, but I have to suspend the newsletter because I just found out the newsletter service is ending, so I have to find a new service for it. But I'll be making the announcement on here when I figure out what I'm moving to. I got a podcast with Claire Napier, Udder Madness. We talk about Top Cow Comics, Mark Silvestri, Michael Turner, Cyberforce, Witchblade, Fathom, all that good stuff. And we also have a YouTube page where I put up older videos with video annotations where you can see all the art that we're talking about right there on the screen. Let's see, what else? Am I forgetting anything? Check out my work more or less every week at the Comics Journal. I just reviewed a Osamu Tezuka book this week. That was fun. Just take care of yourself. It's a rough world out there, so be kind to yourself, be kind to others, enjoy yourself, and I'll catch you next time.